Very good morning, cadets. Of course, next week periodic test 1 is going to start. All the three chapters taught, irrespective of their relevance in the reduced syllabus, considered for the examination. Even I posted question and answers related to those chapters. So please go through those question and answers and complete those things at the earliest. We are in the chapter 3, that is electoral competition. Electoral competition discussion is it good to have political competition? Political competition means rivalry among the political parties based on the party ideals or party politics. So is it good to have political competition? Elections are thus all about political competition. This competition takes various forms. The most obvious form is the competition among political parties at the constituency level. Constituency is the area from which a person is elected. It's called as constituency. I explained you that, for example, Bijapur is a constituency for Lok Sabha, and in Bijapur district we have 5 constituency for Vidhan Sabha, that is State Legislative Assembly. It takes the form of competitions among several candidates. If there is no competition, elections will be pointless, because competition is must in a democratic setup. If there is no competition, definitely that will not lead to a healthy democracy, because healthy democracy, people should always have a choice to change the ruling party. The question is that, is it good to have political competition? An electoral competition has many demerits. It creates a sense of factionalism and disunity in every locality. Like a coin has 2 sides, the same way every aspect got plus and minus, there are merits and demerits. Now, what is the demerit of competition? The political competition leads to division of people on the basis of party. So you might see in the localities, people fight on the basis of political parties in the locality, and that of course lead to a lot of problems. So you would have heard of people complaining of party politics in your locality. Different political parties and leaders often level allegation against one another. Parties and candidates often use dirty tricks to win elections. Now what happened, you can see the parties level lot of allegation that this political party is so corrupt, this party is involved in bribing or involving the dirty politics of bribing the voters. So such a party have a lot of tricks. Some people say that this pressure to win electoral prize does not allow long-term policies to be formulated. Now what is the meaning of this sentence? Take for example, if you closely observe, now here every political party is behind freebies, means we will give free electricity. For example, Arvind Kejriwal's government in Delhi, free electricity, free units of water and education. So a lot of populist programs, involvement of lot of populist programs is purely to attract the voters. When a political party is having only idea to capture the mass for the purpose of election, then definitely such political parties may not have long-term policies for the development of the country. That is a one drawback of the political competitions. Our constitution makers were aware of these problems, yet they opted for free competition in elections. As the way to select our future leaders, they did so because this system works better in the long run. In an ideal world, all political leaders know what is good for the people and are motivated only by desire to serve them. Political competition is not necessary in such an ideal world, but that is not what happens in real life. But idealistic society, what is idealistic society? Where every political competition is done in a very fair manner. But do we have such a idealistic society today? That's very doubtful. So political leaders all over the world have their own factionalism or groupism. Okay. So political competition is not necessary in such an ideal world. So in an ideal world, political competition is not necessary. Ideal world means where every political party is sticking on to their party principles and every political party is thinking of welfare of the people. Such an idealistic society, it is very difficult to exist. Political leaders all over the world, like all other professionals, are motivated by desire to advance they want to remain in power or get power and position for themselves. They may wish to serve the people as well, but it's risky to depend entirely on their sense of duty. Besides, even when they wish to serve the people, they may not know about what is required to do so. So, most of the time, the ideas of political parties, they do not match with the ideas of the people. So, how to deal a situation? Now we understood that every political party wants to win the election by using a populist methods. I told you what is populist method means: giving freebies like free electricity, free water, free cycle, any programs like that. But then, is it possible to have ideal society? That is doubtful. Then how do we deal with this real life situation? One way is to try and improve the knowledge and character of political leaders. So it's a very difficult task. Is it possible to improve the political leaders? It is very difficult. The other and more realistic way is to set up a system where political leaders are rewarded for serving the people and punished for not doing so. This sounds very beautiful, that a political leader can be punished for not working. But is it possible in a realistic world? It is doubtful. Who decides this reward or punishment? The simple answer is the people. So who punish the politicians? Punishment in the sense physical punishment. It's not physical punishment. It is just like not voting for them in the upcoming election, so that they will lose the election. So that is a punishment. The people. This is what electoral competition does. A regular electoral competition provides incentives to political parties and leaders. They know that if they raise the issues that people won't want to be raised, their popularity and enhances of victory will increase. So it is very difficult for a political parties to formulate any such policy so that they keep winning the election. That's why you can see in India, even the ruling party lost very badly in the next election. That is purely because no political parties is able to convince the electorals, the people in a long term basis. Now, so if a political party is motivated only by desire to be in power, even then it will be forced to serve the people. This is bit like the way market works. Even a shopkeeper is interested only in profit. He is forced to give good service to the customers. If he does not, then customer will go to some other shop. Similarly, the political competition may cause division and some ugliness, but it finally helps for force the political parties leader to serve the people better. This is of course in an idealistic situation. It is said that you can see a person who is promising, that means a political leader who is promising to the people during the election lot of bundle of promises, huge promises he makes, but once elections are over, those promises which he made during the election rally just bundled up and thrown somewhere or not given so much importance. That is also one of the reason. But wonderful comparison there, that if you regularly visit a shopkeeper, if you are not happy with that shopkeeper, naturally you will change the shop because you feel you need a better place. So that is what generally happens. So let us move to the topic, what is our system of election. Cadets, this topic is very important. In this particular topic, we will discuss in detail about how elections are conducted in India. For example, how the whole country is divided into various constituencies, and out of the division of constituencies, few constituencies named as a reserved constituency, reserved for scheduled caste or reserved for scheduled tribe, and other are general constituency. And moreover, we have the system of making voters list. So voters list, nomination of candidates, then the very important that the election campaign, then monitoring the code of conduct, means no political party is supposed to break the election code of conduct. So lot of issues are there while conducting election. So in this entire topic, that is what is our system of election, this what is our system of election, we discuss about how elections are conducted in India. The first step in conducting election in India, that is, we can say that we are conducting regular election for Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha. Vidhan Sabha of course in the state, Lok Sabha is in the central government. So first thing what the election commission is doing, that is electoral constituencies. You read about the people of Haryana electing 90 MLAs. You may have wondered how they did that. Did every person in Haryana vote for all 90 MLAs? You perhaps know that this is not the case. In our country, we follow an area based on system of representation. The country is divided into different areas for purposes of election. These areas are called electoral constituencies, and voters who live in area elect one representative. So division of an area into various constituencies, that is what the division of electoral constituencies. So what are the constituencies for Lok Sabha? For Lok Sabha, the country divided into 543 constituencies. Please write down. So how many Lok Sabha constituencies are there? 543. The representatives elected from each constituency is called member of parliament. So who is a member of parliament? He is an MP, that is member of parliament. One of the feature of a democratic election is that every vote should be equal value. That's why our constitution requires at each constituency should have a roughly equal population living within. For example, Bijapur is a constituency, Bagalkot is a constituency, Gulbarga is a constituency. So roughly the population means voters. We should divide the voters in a such a way that roughly it should be equal. Exactly equal is not possible, but roughly it should be equal. Similarly, each state is divided into a specific number of assembly constituency. In this case, the elected representative is called member of legislative assembly or an MLA. So MLA means member of legislative assembly. Each parliamentary constitution has written its several assembly constituencies. The same principles applies for panchayat and municipal elections. Each village or town is divided into several wards that are like constituency. Each ward elects one member Sometimes these constituencies are called as seats. For each constituency represents one seat in an assembly. When we call it as Lok Dal owns 60 seats in Haryana, so 60 seats refers about the 60 constituency. Lok Dal won 60 assembly constituency. So to conclude, what is this? What exactly it means? We have 543 Lok Sabha constituencies. That means member of parliament. Out of 543 Lok Sabha constituency throughout the country, of course, in the next few slides we will discuss about the total division of constituency on state wise. That is about the election in the parliament. Now, what is the condition in the state government? In state government also we have fixed number of constituency. For example, in Karnataka it is 221. Haryana it is, of course, out of total seats 60 seats are assembly constituency owned by Lok Dal. Uttar Pradesh is having highest number of assembly constituency because of its population. Uttar Pradesh got highest population. That's the reason why Uttar Pradesh 500 MLAs are there representing Uttar Pradesh. So here a map of Gulbarga Lok Sabha constituency is given here. So you can see Gulbarga Lok Sabha constituency. The second, it says Gulbarga district in Karnataka, means the second is all other constituencies. Okay, how many Lok Sabha constituencies are there? That is a map. That is this second map. The first map is Gulbarga constituency. The Gulbarga constituency, of course, for assembly election there are a lot of sub constituency. Afzalpur is different, Sedam is different, Gulbarga rural is different, but when we speak about Lok Sabha, this entire Gulbarga represent as one constituency. So that is related to how the constituency. So Lok Sabha constituency is a larger one, assembly is less than Lok Sabha, then we have panchayat, like that we have downwards. Thank you.